Okay, so I'm gonna say it because I'm gonna roll with it.
I've just
Don't
stopped
say
saying it.
I know you didn't say it on the last episode.
I've stopped saying the episodes and I've
Yeah,
stopped saying the names.
episode 7 of Reps Rants. Fish on a rice cake. Boom, smashed it.
Yeah, I'm just
Absolutely
impressed I've
smashed
got
it.
through these already without going into a sneezing fit.
Hay fever.
6 times in a row this morning.
Yeah.
Never sneezed 6 times in a row in my life. I've never had hay fever before in my life.
So, really,
Genuine, never had it before until this past couple of weeks. I didn't know what it was at first.
the pollen count is really high this year, though. I
Yeah.
was listening to it on the news the other day. I've always struggled with it. Always struggled with it, and it's just bungs you up so much. Like, have you got to the point where your eyes are like
I am.
shut when you wake up?
That happened this morning for the first time. I was literally like, honestly, I was scared. I looked in,
Yeah.
scared of myself. I
I know.
looked in the mirror.
You wake up and you're like,
I was like,
you have
what
to,
is
like,
all that?
drag your eyelids apart.
Oh man, the annoying thing is like I'll sit inside and it'll start to sort of come down a little bit,
Mhm.
and then I'll have to take Blue outside to go to the toilet. And where we live, it's literally an isolated flat building, not a flat building, but a building of flats. And all that's around us is literally just trees. There's like a woodland path in front of us. The car park's surrounded by trees
Yeah.
and grass, and they cut the grass. I don't know why. Every single week, and it's on a Tuesday every week when I start checking, someone comes to cut the grass. Every single week, I'm like, it is the most well-maintained grass
Whistling away on you.
I have ever seen. And honestly, I go and I take Blue outside, come back in, and I'm just like bunged up again, and my eyes are bright red. And I was like, great, it's another 2 hours of waiting for this to settle down.
Told you, Alevia. That's what you need to get.
Do need
It's
to
actually
try this.
because I put it on Instagram because I've always tried like Pirites, which is
Yeah.
like an anti-inflammatory kind of thing. But that Alevia, one of
Yeah.
them in the morning, it really sorts you out.
I've been trying eye drops for the first time ever,
Yeah,
and Sophie's been putting them in. I'm not good with eye
it's
drops.
weird, isn't it?
It's like that scene, that scene from Friends where they've got to put them in Rachel and she's like squirming on the floor. It's literally been that.
That's it.
I was
But
literally being
the
that.
hardest thing is holding your eyelid open yourself. Like
I guess Sophie do it.
It's like a bodily reaction, just a natural reaction. So I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah,
like it.
it stings or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
whatever's in it stings.
Sure.
And I can't tell whether it's the eye drops or I'm crying after.
Sure, the eye drops.
God knows. You'll have to ask Sophie, but yeah. So that's been fun. That's been my week for the past week.
Yeah.
Like I've to say on check-ins, I'm like, if it looks like I'm crying, I'm not crying. I was like, I've just put eye drops in and it's just streaming.
I think on my check-ins earlier this week, I had to say, if it looks like I'm crying. It's probably because I am. I'm really tired after Istanbul.
Yeah, I don't blame you. So what are we talking about today?
We're talking about training,
Training.
but before we do, giveaway.
Giveaway. Yeah, I'll let
Giveaway.
you.
So we're basically doing a giveaway. We've not decided what the giveaway is going to be yet, but it's going to be protein powder. It's going to be an Amazon voucher. It's going to be something training related potentially. We'll come up with something good. All you need to do is tag me and Jake on your socials, Instagram stories, Facebook stories, whatever it is that you used. Make sure you tag us both so we know
with the video,
with this video, or
just like a screenshot of it or whatever.
just something to say go and
Yeah,
listen to us. And if you do that, we'll throw your name into the hat. There'll probably be like 5 people do it. So if you do it, you've probably got a chance of winning.
I'll be one of them.
Yeah. And you can do it as many times as you want. So just go and do it. We'd massively appreciate it because it helps get the good word out of our fantastic podcast.
I'm definitely protein's expensive at the minute. I'm definitely
Right.
entering it. If you could pay for half of my protein for a month,
I'm
I'm
just gonna
going
tag
for
it for like every day, month.
But no, yeah, do that, and we'll enter you into it, and we'll announce a winner.
What protein do you use?
I've just gone back to Perform. So I was
So
using I was using bulk powders for ages, and then they started charging £1 million for a bag of protein. So I was like, forget that. So I started buying some from the gym, because they did like a big bag of Time for Nutrition, which was like 30 something quid, which was good. Like it's a big bag and it was nice. So I was using that, but it was really high in calories. Well, it wasn't really high, but it was higher than like Perform, which was fine for when I was doing my gaining phase. But now I've started dieting, I've gone back to Perform. I think it's about 45 quid or something for a tub.
It's about that, but it's the flavors are just
They are.
so
Although
good.
I just got chocolate orange last week, which is like my favorite flavor for anything. And I was really excited to try it, and it's not that
Not that
great.
good?
No,
Really?
not that. I was surprised because normally, like you said, their flavors are really good.
So I have the double chocolate brownie, which is insane.
Yeah,
And Chris Meek last night, I saw on his stories, he puts a scoop of
peanut butter
powder in.
Yeah, I'd seen Chris.
So I'm going to do that
seen him
because
do
that
that.
sounds incredible.
We might get him on here at some point.
Yeah,
I think
we
I
will do.
mentioned to you when I was training him the other day.
Yeah, we'll get him
We
in.
might get him on at some point.
And chocolatella.
Yes, that's just like Nutella, isn't it? So I really like the carrot cake. The
See, I'm
carrot
not
cake's
massive fan
really
of carrot
nice.
cake in real life.
Oh,
so
so I am. It's probably the only cake I'm actually like quite like.
Quite like.
I mean, I can't remember last time I had any, but
lemon sponge for me.
yeah. Or a Colin caterpillar every year for my birthday,
Yeah,
which I never
we
ate.
had one of them last night for Louise's.
Did you?
She couldn't even eat it because Thea, our little one, is lactose intolerant.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, so she's a little bit. I mean, she's on the milk ladder now, so hopefully she'll kind of go past it. But she still can't because Louise is breastfeeding. She
Yeah.
can't have anything that has dairy in.
Yeah.
I think she might have had a tiny bit, but yeah. So we had a birthday cake. We had a birthday cake for it.
You had a birthday
yeah,
cake.
Yeah, I had a birthday cake.
Yeah.
Diet's not going well.
Yeah. Anyway, training. So I think the first part of call for us that we wanted to mention was an over reliance on training, specifically when it's training and fat loss. So we'll talk a lot of the time to people who want to lose a bit of weight, want to get lean, whatever it is, and like the first question is, can you do me a training plan? And it's like, well, we can, but that's
And we
not,
will do.
and we will do,
That was part of it.
but that isn't what is going to help get you lean. Like a training plan, from a gym-based training point of view, is going to do next to nothing to help get you lean.
Literally next to nothing.
Mm.
Literally next to nothing. And this is coming from someone who used to be that person.
Mm.
You know, 10, 15 years ago, I was that person who would rely on my training to lose body fat.
Mm.
And there's no reason, there's no wonder that I didn't lose any body fat.
Yeah.
You know, and I think people still have that in their mind that it's like, okay, well, there's got to be a magic training split or something which is going to help me get the physique that you see people have, when actually we know that comes from nutrition.
100%.
Your training, you should train to get strong, to get fit, to enjoy going to the gym and improving yourself, and just feeling good in general.
Or even just a stress relief for some people.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's a million and one reasons to train, and not one of them is fat loss.
No.
Not one.
No. The only caveat to it is long term, it can help with maintaining fat loss with the muscle tissue that you build.
Absolutely.
Increasing your metabolic rate with more active tissue. But that's a very, very long term. And even then, the difference that it makes to your metabolic rate isn't going to be significant for 99%
It's
of
a
people.
small amount.
It's going to help, but it's not going to suddenly mean you can eat 1,000 extra calories a day and stay lean.
I just think that the best way to look at your training, like I say, you just want to separate your training and your fat loss. Like your training, again, you want to do it because if you want that physique as well, that kind of toned physique, you know, the athletic physique, which we both want. And,
we'll get there one day.
Yeah, we'll get there one day. But, you know, and we've had as well. And, you know, you want to, if you want that, of course you want to go to the gym and train and build muscle. But ultimately the gym is, you know, you should separate training and the gym. Sorry, nutrition, and the gym, fat loss and the gym.
Yeah, massively. And it is literally like we'll say to people, we're training to get stronger. Simple as that.
Build muscle.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, the cardio, the steps, the diet.
Yeah.
That's for fat loss. The training is just for that.
And that's a little caveat. So people are thinking, what about cardio? So
yeah,
of course. I mean, cardio, again, just to put things into perspective, your metabolic rate is made up from a number of different things. But just to put it really simply, the number of calories that you will burn doing planned exercise is about 5%.
Yeah,
roughly
5%
of your daily energy expenditure, right? So it's fuck all basically. So we can increase that a little bit with cardio, and towards the back end of a diet, especially if you're doing a photo shoot or something. I mean, I don't really give out much cardio to people unless they're doing a photo shoot, unless they want to. Some people enjoy it, of course. But we can use cardio. You know, we can manipulate your energy expenditure a little bit through cardio. But we're talking specifically here about resistance training, really.
Yeah. And we'll go through like how we tend to structure it generally for people, because obviously it's different for each person depending on what they want to do. But we'll chat through sort of how a training assessment looks for us, and then how we typically start to program, because I think we're pretty much very similar, aren't we, with our approach. But yeah, and I guess the other thing is, a lot of the time people will come and they'll say, you know, I've been trying to put on muscle for the past however long, and now I'm wanting to try and diet. What do I need to do with my training? And again, it's literally a case of, well, has the plan that you've been following helped you build some muscle? Yeah, cool. Don't need to change it. You don't need to start doing supersets. You don't need to take shorter rest times. You don't need to start doing like explosive movements between sets, or adding in a HIIT session at the end of a workout, or doing functional movement. Like, it is literally just keep doing what you're doing.
If anything, that stuff is going to make the diet harder, because
100% harder.
You're going to put more stress on the body.
100%.
So it actually makes no sense to change your training, especially to something more intense, which is what a lot of people do. They start doing sprints, HIIT training, burpees, all that kind of stuff, running. And it's like, that's fantastic stuff. But actually, you're better off doing that stuff when you've got more energy.
Yeah, I have never. I don't think. Right, okay. I have never, unless the who I've worked with has specifically been training for a marathon
Hmm.
or something that they need to run or they need to do hit workouts. I've never programmed anyone running or hit training.
No,
Never.
no, I haven't.
Even in photo shoot diets, in normal diets, unless they love it or unless they've got it for a specific reason, like I said, they're doing a marathon. I've never programmed it.
Yeah, I've had a couple of clients come to me from maybe like F45 backgrounds,
Mm,
CrossFit and things, and they've wanted to change their style of training, but still include a little bit of that.
yeah,
Yeah, of course, obviously,
it's cool.
that's
If you
what you,
enjoy it, go
we'll
for it.
include some circuit training, some high
Yeah,
intensity stuff, and but again, you just hit the nail on the head. If you enjoy it,
yeah.
we're not doing it from a fat loss perspective.
No, but remember, especially if you're dieting and especially if you're dieting aggressively, hit training is gonna make it so much harder because it's so much more demanding. Your risk of injury is so much higher.
Mhm.
So you're potentially going to injure yourself and then affect your other gym workouts and your ability to get steps in day to day, and obviously a knock on effect of your actual rate of fat loss. But just when you finish a hit session, you're knackered and generally you're starving. And it makes sticking to the diet so much harder then for the rest of that evening.
And this is why a lot of people fail with their diets and their fat loss, because what they will do is they'll go from either doing nothing or weight training, so
Mm,
either nothing at all or lifting heavy weights and trying to build muscle, to going to cutting the calories down to absolutely fuck all,
mm,
and all of a sudden doing some really high intensity training.
yeah,
For a couple of days, you'll be fine and your body will feel great and you'll be like, wow, this is fucking working because loads of water's coming off
yeah,
and things. And then after that, you will deplete so fucking quickly. And no wonder you give up because your body can't handle it.
yeah,
Simple as that, really.
yeah,
So, yeah, so going back to Jake's point, if you are coming from a place of building muscle, which you have been, and I have been as well before my diet, nothing's changed with my training.
no.
Still trying to progress. I'm still trying to lift more. I'm still doing the same splits and
Yeah.
things.
So I'm like I said, I'm 5 weeks into this photo shoot diet, and my training plan is the exact same training plan that I was following for the back end of my gaining phase, like literally to the letter.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed.
And the idea when you're dieting and you're losing body fat is to maintain as much muscle as possible. There's an outside chance you might be able to build a little bit, maybe not so much for someone who's quite experienced, but
Yeah, if you're newer to it, you definitely can.
yeah, oh, 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
If you're a newbie or even if you've had an extended break, you definitely can do.
Mm,
And if you're carrying a bit more body fat, but maybe someone for like yourself, you might build a tiny bit, but the chances are, really for you, it's about maintaining.
yeah, and whatever's worked to build it will work to maintain it.
Exactly.
And you don't need to. Like, obviously, there's the old thing of like 15 to 20 reps is like muscle tone and muscle endurance. Lower reps is like muscle hypertrophy and strength.
Strength training.
Nothing will tone a muscle.
Yeah.
No training will tone a muscle because there is no such thing as toning a muscle.
Mhm.
It will either build muscle or it won't. And that's it. And if you build muscle and you get leaner, you will see more muscle tone. That's all muscle tone is getting lean enough to see it.
Yeah. Muscle tone for what people, because again, even when people come in and listen, I completely get it. I understand what muscle tone is. It's a bit of lingo which you can relate to people with.
Yeah.
So I use the phrase a lot
Oh,
because
we'll still use it
it
because,
makes
like I
sense.
say, it's more relatable.
It's
It's
very
easier to get the
relatable.
message across.
But essentially, what it is, as Jake said, is you're losing enough body fat to see the muscle that you've got.
Yeah, when we say you might feel more toned or you might look more toned, all we're saying is you'll look leaner, so you'll be able to see
Yeah.
the muscle that you have got more. And that's it.
Exactly.
There's no structural change to that muscle that it's become more toned. You're just lean enough to see it more.
Exactly that.
So when it comes to programming, when it comes to programming, get my words out. The first thing for us is a training assessment,
Mhm.
and so we basically say to people, we get them to fill out a training assessment, and this is how we make it individual. And it is literally okay. How often a week can you get to the gym? Not how often would you like to get to the gym. How often can you actually commit to the gym? Because you might say, oh, I could do 5 sessions a week in theory, but in practice, 3 sessions a week is all you can manage. So how much can you actually get to the gym a week? How long can you train for? Are there any injuries we need to work around? Any muscle groups you want to try and focus on bringing out a little bit more? Do you want to develop your chest a bit more, your delts, maybe your glutes, stuff like that? What equipment do you have available to you? What exercises do you like? What exercises don't you like? And then once we've got that information, is like a start point for where we can start building the plan for the minute.
Yeah, 100%. And just to touch on what you said there, so when people come to me, and because again, it's all going back to managing expectations, listen to the previous one, but people come in on the training assessment and say, I can train 6 days a week. And I'm like, you've not been training at all.
Mm.
You're a busy person. You've got kids. you might think you can train 6 days a week. Let's do 4.
Yeah.
You know, and actually, what I will tend to do now when people come to me, and I think they're a bit confused as to why I do it, but it's more realistic, it's more sustainable, you're going to get better results long term if you can be consistent with something. And someone will come and say, I want to train 4 days a week. I'm like, let's start with 3.
Yeah.
I can train 5. Let's start with 4.
Yeah.
And if that works, cool. We'll build it up.
We'll program for 4 sessions. Those are the sessions to do. If you get them done and you want to do an extra session, we'll just map out like an accessory workout session that will just focus on the areas that you want to focus on.
Arms.
Yeah, pretty much. It's normally arms, shot like
Chest.
blokes, arms, shoulders, chest, beach muscles, that kind of thing. For blokes, anyway.
Yeah.
And it'll be, if you've got the time and if you still want to do it, go and do that. But then next week, don't then expect yourself to do all 5. All you need to do is hit the 4. And if you've got time and you want to do the 5th, chuck it in.
Yeah.
Providing that you're recovering well enough from it as well.
And I think that's when I have consultation calls with people, they're like, well, they must spend so much time in the gym. You know, my clients. I'm like, no. And I'll bring them up on my Instagram and I'll get like the before and afters. And I'll say, he trains 3 days a week. He trains 4. Me at the moment, I think you might train more than me. You got more time at the moment, potentially.
I just do 4 days a week.
Oh, there you go. He does 4.
Yeah.
I do 4. Like, I don't think people think, God, you must live in the gym. It's like, nah, 4 days a week. Nice.
No one's ever said to me they think I live in the gym.
Well,
Well, I've had it before. I've trained 5 days a week a lot in the past, and sometimes when I've been really into it and like really motivated, fine. Majority of the time that isn't the case, and it's always just felt like that extra workout, that 5th workout, was just a bit of a I've got to get to the gym today again.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, 4's like a nice happy medium. I can do that. It's comfortable.
Loads of time to recover.
Yeah, and that's like I program anyone 5 sessions a week? I do, but it's rare. I never program 6 sessions a week. I don't think I've ever programmed someone 6 sessions a week. I think it's happened once when I had a client who said they can only spend half an hour in the gym at a time, but they can get there.
On the lunch break.
They can get there like 6 times a week. So I was like, all right, cool. Let's just do 6 really short workouts a week, which worked out to be the same volume as I think it was like 4 sessions a week.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever programmed someone 6 sessions a week. I've never had anyone ask for 6 a week, and there's never been a need to do 6 a week. It's generally 3 or 4.
I've just had a guy come to me. He said he could do 6, and I was like, let's just do 4 and build it up into it. And again, you know, I understand where he's at, so like it made sense, and he's fully on board with it. Because what I said to him was, the time that you had to do those other 2 sessions, let's utilize those to do steps, to meal prep some food, you know, and that just gives you more time to do the other stuff, which is going to be more important than the training right now because it's a fast phase.
And the whole thing we're focusing on with how many times a week you can get to the gym, it's not because more is better. It's just how you split your volume across the week. You could do the same volume in 3 sessions that you do in 4.
Yeah.
As long as you're hitting, and generally we'll sort of say, I think the research does it say about 12 to 20 working sets a week is like optimal for building muscle.
Between 5 and 30 reps, I think.
Something like that.
New sciencey.
I think I generally work within a range of 12 to 15 at most. I'll go in with a minimum. So I'll typically, if it's someone new, when I'm programming, we'll go in with a minimum of 12 sets a week. And then maybe 15 on the areas that they're wanting to focus on. But certainly to begin with, it'll be 12 sets a week. Let's set like a baseline. Let's see how you respond to that. Let's see how you get on. And then we can always add more in if we need to.
And you can tweak it. And I
think you can split that across 3, 4, 5 sessions a week if you want.
Exactly. And I think it's also important to understand that, you know, we do 12-week training block, generally speaking. It tends to work well because if weeks 1 to 2, you're very much just getting used to the training program. Weeks 2 to 10, 11, you know, that's when you're going to see real progress. There might be a 2 deloads in there as well, you know, and I think what you've got to remember is with a training block, if you want to work on a particular muscle part, as Jake's just said, you know, you're not going to be able to improve everything that you want to in one training block. That makes sense. So if someone comes out, I really want to grow my quads, I really want to grow my shoulders, I really want to grow my chest. It's like, okay, well, you've only got so much time in the gym. You've only got so much energy that you can put into all of that stuff. So on this training block, let's concentrate on your quads and your chest. And we'll still have shoulders in there. Of course, we're not going to leave them. You're not going to leave them out.
Everything's going to grow.
Yeah. But we might just put more focus on shoulders on the next training program or your glutes or whatever, you know? And it's like, it's understanding that as well. You know, you can't just do everything all at once.
Yeah. And that's literally it. So like the process goes, okay, what do they want to focus on? How many working sets are we going to put to each muscle group for the week? Okay, how are we going to split that into how many workouts we're going to do across the week? 3, 4, 5, whatever it is. what does that training split look like then? So if it's free, is it full body workouts? Is it a full body upper lower body workout? 4 sessions a week, is it upper lower upper lower?
Mhm.
Is it an upper lower full body full body? 5 sessions a week, you've got even more. Obviously, you've got push pull legs push pull. You could do push pull legs upper lower. Like there isn't a right way to split it. It just depends on what you wanted to target on. And then in terms of actual amount of exercises per workout, I don't know about you, but I generally stick around 6 to 8.
I-
Eight would be a lot. It's generally around the 6 mark.
8 would be a lot for me, and that
Yeah.
would be supersets in there as well.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. So if it's 8, it would be like a superset on smaller muscle groups, or it might be like a bit of a pump circuit where it's like 2 or 3 exercises grouped together that are like side raises, front raises, bicep curls, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and so again for me, five or six in some cases,
Yeah.
depending on the person, how long they've got to train for, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But if it's someone who, a young lad who's got a bit more time, let's go 7 exercises, 8
Yeah.
exercises, whatever. But you probably get this as well. One of the things that I get almost not every time, but a lot of the time when I give someone a training program is almost a bit of like, is that it? As in, and I'm like,
Doesn't look
yeah.
like a lot. I had it with one of the guys that's doing the photo shoot, Matt, who's looks in insane shape. I think I showed you him the other day, and he came on having done a ridiculous amount of volume. Like he was training a lot. And when I first sent him the plan, that was his literal response was, that doesn't look like a lot. Like, I don't think it's going to be enough for me. And then as we've gone through the process and we've focused more on the actual quality of what we've been doing, the load, the recovery intensity, that kind of thing, he's been like, yeah, it's actually, I think we've added in a couple of things here and there, like some extra calf work or stuff like that. But generally he's been like, actually, this is not only feels good, it's working better than what we did before.
And in the nicest possible way, and obviously I won't put it like this, but I'll say, if you don't think that's a lot, that almost says to me that you've not been training hard enough.
Yeah.
You've been doing lots of volume. You might be doing 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 exercises, but how intense are those? How intense are those working sets? Are you really pushing yourself close to failure? Are you getting yourself to a point where you need to be at in order to see the changes?
Yeah.
And the chances are, I mean, they might say yes, but when you actually get them to film a few sets, you're like, you're nowhere near.
Yeah.
You're nowhere near. So when I give someone 5 or 6 exercises, 3 or 4 sets, 2, whatever it might be, if you take those sets to a place that you need to take them in terms of intensity, that training program will be 10 times harder than the one that you've been doing.
100%. That's what I do the same thing when someone says to me, like, they'll do a chest day and they'll do like 6 exercises for chest. And it's like, well, again, I've not seen you train, but you probably could split that in half and put a lot more work into those 3 sets. Because if you're able to still perform well by the 6th,
you're not training hard enough.
Chest exercise, you're probably not training hard enough in the first few. Like, it probably should be a case if you do a couple, and by the time you get to your 3rd chest exercise, it's like, my chest is really starting to flag now. Which is why then I'm quite a fan of, this is a reason for why a chest day is not as good as potentially splitting it into upper, lower, full body, whatever it is, and taking those 6 chest exercises that you do and doing 3 on one day and 3 on another day, because then the benefit of that is that when you come to those last 3 exercises, you're not coming into them having just done 3 other chest exercises. You're actually coming into them fresh, and you can actually got a lot more energy to push and develop those movements a lot further.
Exactly. 100%. And again, that's something that, because I used to do like the bro split, like,
yeah, I've spent years doing it.
Everyone's done it, haven't they? But
and it does still work. Obviously, it works to a degree.
It works to a degree. It wouldn't work for me now because I don't have, one, I don't have the time. 2, I probably don't recover as well as I used to. I don't, my sleep quality is not as good as it used to be with the little one. It's like, it just wouldn't be right. And I also recognize, I look back and I think I used to go in, I used to like batter the bench press. It was always the first exercise you did. And you think by the time you got to your 3rd, 4th exercise, you probably just, your form goes to shit. You're probably using more shoulders, more, just anything but your fucking chest, really,
Yeah.
And that's reality. And again, if you split those sets across the course of the week with an upper, lower, a push, pull split, whatever it might be, your full body even, I'm a big fan of full body. You're going to train with more intensity during those sets. Therefore, you're going to get more out of them.
Yeah. And then the very last thing that we tend to actually worry about or look at is exercise selection. So we'll basically be like, okay, well, as long as we've got a horizontal pull, horizontal push in there, vertical pull, vertical push, squat pattern based movement, like a hinge hip based hip hinge based movement, stuff like that, and then any accessory work. That's what you want to include. And then how you get those in, whether it's a lat pull down machine or a cable pull down, doesn't really matter. Like, I'll have clients message sometimes saying, "Oh, I know we've been doing cable pull down, but there is a lat pull down machine. Is that going to be better for me?" And it's like, well, it's going to hit the same muscle. Like
If you
just
enjoy doing that one more, do
if
that
you
one
enjoy
more.
doing it more, if you feel a better connection with it, we'll go for it.
Mhm.
But as of right now, if we've not like maxed out what we're doing on the cable, if we know we're still progressing on the cable pull down and it feels okay, there's not really going to be many or any extra benefit to go into a different alternative. Like it's still a vertical pull. So it just comes down to that really, like the actual machine or exercise that you do to perform those movements doesn't matter as much as how you perform them, how you connect with them, the intensity that you put into doing them, and how you're then progressing that movement. Because the only time we get to the end of a 12-week block and clients are like, oh, do we get a new training plan now? And I'm like, we can do, obviously. But are you still progressing in what you're currently doing? And if they're still progressing in the plan that we're doing and they're still enjoying it, more importantly, I'm like, we'll keep going until you get to a point where we might be like, okay, this exercise has plateaued a bit, or you're not enjoying this exercise, so let's just swap that out and we'll keep the rest the same. And we'll just put a new exercise in to freshen it up a bit. Sometimes it is just, yeah, we'll do a completely new plan.
Yeah.
If you're a bit bored of that one, then that's fine.
Yeah, and that's it. And I think that, don't get me wrong, it's exciting to do new machines. It's like when you go into your gym and it's got a new piece of kit, you can't wait to get on it.
Yeah.
It's normal to have that kind of stuff. But ultimately, again, exercise selection doesn't matter that much as long as you've got the fundamentals in there. So yeah, of course you should mix it up for enjoyment and just keep things interesting. But even things like drop sets, and it's supersets and stuff.
Yeah.
There's nothing magical about them. There's nothing magical about them. The reason that we put them in there, generally speaking, and this is going to be like, people are going to be like, wow, training's boring. It is like,
Repetitive.
and it's the reason we put them in there is to keep things interesting, generally. The most effective training program, and I'd be bored out of my freaking mind doing it, but the most effective training program would go in, do like 5 exercises, 3 sets between 8 and 12, proper working sets, taking yourself close to failure. You did that, you get fucking great results.
Yeah.
It'd be boring as hell, so you probably wouldn't want to do that. But that's what the base of your training program should be. Then you can move off from there.
Yeah. And then all we do as an overview, because we said we do 12-week, typically 12-week plans, is week 1 to 5 is just aim to increase your total volume every week, aim to either lift a little bit heavier or do an extra rep on lifts across those first 5 weeks. Week 5 will be a bit of like a test week, so it might be on some exercises we'll be like, right, whatever weight you've been using for the past 5 weeks for, let's say, 10 reps, this week you're going to use the same weight, but you're going to see how many reps you can get, because you might be able to get 12, 13, 14. And then we'll use that to basically be like, right, week 6 is a little bit of a deload if you need it. Sometimes, a lot of the time, clients don't need it, and we'll just be like, right, keep going.
People have natural deloads without realizing.
They do, yeah.
They might go on holiday for a week, or something.
Stuff
like,
and
okay, well, we've had a deload.
Yeah, and you can even do that if they're on week 5, and you'd be like, okay, well, next week is programmed as a deload week, but we know you're going on holiday in 3 weeks. We're just going to push through till you go on holiday because that's your deload week. So we do that. 5 weeks of getting harder and harder. Bit of a week of taking it a bit steadier so your body's got more time to recover, and then that acts as a springboard then into week 7 to 11 to then basically repeat weeks 1 to 5, but hopefully with a bit more weight or with a few more reps.
Yeah, and the idea is on week 7 you'd look back at week 1 and week 8
you try and beat week 1.
2.
Yeah,
and the idea is that you beat what you have been lifting, and that way you're always progressing. You're not, and we're trying. That's progressive overload done properly.
And that's when, like with deloads, which are essentially just a week of taking it a bit easier, whether that's you go in and just do less volume or you just don't go to the gym altogether, it doesn't really, for most people, make much of a difference. But you do want to try and take them just before you feel like you need them, because if you wait until you're like, I'm absolutely knackered, everything's sore, I'm not getting stronger on anything, you're probably going to need a deload week, and then it's still going to take a week or 2 to get back into normal. Whereas if you do it when you're like, do you know what, stuff's starting to feel a little bit off, strength's starting to plateau, I'm starting to feel a little bit sore, maybe not connecting as much with a muscle.
I think it's difficult for people to notice when they need a deload.
It is.
Because when you're looking at your own body, and especially when you're enjoying your training, you just want to keep on pushing.
Yeah.
But actually, you need to think, am I fatigued? Am I recovering as well?
Yeah.
And when sometimes clients will check in to me and they'll say, I'm feeling really tired, I'm feeling like exhausted, like the gym sessions were a real kind of challenge this week.
Yeah.
Even if there isn't a planned deload, I'm like, right, let's take a deload. Or let's increase calories, 1 and 2, like that kind of stuff.
Easy way of looking at it is like when you're driving your car, when you get down to like 1 bar on your petrol light, you're like, right, I need to put some fuel in. Because if I keep driving it when the light's on, it's going to start causing damage to the car, which is going to take longer to fix than if I just stop now, put a bit more fuel in the tank, and then I'm good to go for another however long I need to drive for.
Yeah, and what you're going to get better results with.
Yeah. You're doing it earlier than you potentially need to do it, but it's going to mean you can go for longer.
But yeah, I think that kind of covers training. And like I said, I think people think it's going to be really exciting. and we're going to give them some special plan, which is going to change their life. But something I say to a lot of my clients is you could have the best training plan in the world, but if you're not performing it properly with the right intensity, you're not going to get the results from.
Yeah, it's
You
not
could
gonna
have
do
the
anything.
most average training program in the world, and if you're training it with the right intensity and you're progressing in the right areas, you'll get better results from that than you'll do the best training program in the world.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And that's it. And I know it's really boring because there's, people are like, magic trick in training.
Yeah.
I know they're in.
You just got to show up and do it.
Can't be it, mate. What's the supplements?
Yeah.
You know?
Show up and do it. That's it. Leave it there.
Yeah, we'll leave it there. So
Sweet. And if you found that video useful, then go ahead and click on this one right here for some more answers to your fitness problems.